All right, time for the next 10 questions, 51 through 60. Number 51. What is it called when the liver is located on the left side of the body? A. Beaver tail. B. Rydell's lobe. C. Dextrohepatica. Or D. Situs inversus. The answer is D. Situs inversus. Number 52. What are these echogenic lesions in the gallbladder? These right here. A. Stones. B. Sludge. C. Polyps. Or D. Cholesterol crystals. The answer is C. Polyps. Number 53. What structure connects both portions of the thalamus at the midline? A. Massa intermedia. B. Corpus callosum. C. Septum pellucidum. Or D. Cavum vergi. The answer is A. Massa intermedia. Number 54. This condition is thought to be caused by obliteration of the internal carotid arteries during the fetal stage. A. Hydrocephalus. B. Anencephaly. C. Hydranencephaly. Or D. Cystic hygroma. So here you got pretty much an empty cranial vault, but the cranial bones are still intact. And there's midbrain and cerebellum left over. So this is known as C. Hydranencephaly. Number 55. An infant presents with jaundice. This cystic structure most likely represents A. Cholelithiasis. B. Choledocholithiasis. C. Choledochal cyst. Or D. Normal common bile duct. The answer is C. Choledochal cyst. Number 56. What is the name of the harness used to treat developmental dysplasia of the hip? A. Barlow. B. Ortolani. C. Graf. Or D. Pavlik. The answer is D. Pavlik. Barlow and Ortolani are the maneuvers you use for hip dysplasia, and Graf is the grading system. 57. What congenital defect occurs from the failure of the closure of the infraumbilical abdominal wall? So the abdominal wall below the umbilicus. A. Ectopia cordis. B. Bladder diverticulum. C. Bladder exstrophy. Or D. Urachal cyst. The answer is C. Bladder exstrophy. Number 58. A cranial ultrasound in an infant with myelomeningocele shows inferior displacement of the cerebellar vermis and fourth ventricle. This is A. Lobar holoprosencephaly. B. Lobar holoprosencephaly. C. Dandy-Walker malformation. Or D. Arnold-Chiari malformation. The answer is D. Arnold-Chiari malformation. Number 59. A child presents with a midline suprahyoid lump. The following image shows A. Branchial cleft cyst. B. Thyroglossal duct cyst. C. Colloid cyst. Or D. Lymph node. So it's obviously a cystic structure, so you can cross lymph node off the list. It's not a colloid cyst because colloid cysts are within the thyroid and they usually have echogenic foci within it. And branchial cleft cysts are usually lateral. So the answer is B. Thyroglossal duct cyst. 60. This image technique is commonly used to evaluate liver fibrosis. A. Color Doppler. B. Power Doppler. C. B-flow. Or D. Elastography. The answer is D. Elastography.